lost someone that I interviewed in the past, Phil Harris.
Right.
What did he die? He didn't die on a ship, right, did he?
Yeah. He got a stroke out there.
When Phil Harris passed away during one of his final Alaskan fishing expeditions, fans and crew were left reeling. But what was discovered on his boat after his death revealed a side of his story few expected. A reveal that challenges everything we thought we knew about his last voyage. How did these discoveries reshape the understanding of his experience at sea? And why did they leave everyone speechless? Phil Harris was more than just a fisher. He was a symbol of courage and resilience in the grueling world of commercial fishing. Yet, the secrets uncovered aboard his vessel offer a haunting glimpse into the harsh realities behind the camera's lens. Prepare to uncover the astonishing facts found after tragedy struck. Facts that bring a new dimension to his legacy. The scene left aboard the boat. The moment Phil Harris passed away aboard his fishing vessel, the Cornelia Marie, those who later boarded the boat, found a scene that spoke volumes without saying much aloud. The boat was still in operation. Lines were set, and the usual hum of work remained frozen in time, a silent testament to the abruptness of the tragedy. Nothing appeared drastically out of place, yet the atmosphere was heavy with the weight of loss, as if the boat itself was mourning its captain. Equipment was left running, and the deck bore the wear of a day's hard work. Tools and gear strewn as they might have been during a break. His crew had already radioed for help, showing that despite the crisis, there was a collective effort to maintain control. But inside the cabin, the stark reality of Harris's death settled in. A man who had commanded this vessel for years was suddenly gone, leaving behind a quiet stillness that felt unnatural at sea. Personal items found aboard suggested that Harris had been preparing for a routine day, with nothing hinting at the severe health crisis soon to unfold. His weathered jacket, fishing gloves, and hats lay where they had been last used. The familiarity of the setting clashed with the finality of the moment, painting a picture of a sudden loss in otherwise ordinary conditions. Notably, the boat's vital signs, radios, GPS trackers, and engines remained functional, indicating the crew's professionalism despite the shock. In the tightly wound world of commercial fishing, the show must go on. And it did, for a time reflecting the harsh realities of life on the edge. Yet beneath this surface, the discovery on board hinted at deeper struggles not immediately visible. What truly unsettled those who came aboard was the juxtaposition of normalcy and tragedy. A vessel built to endure the Alaskan seas, sturdy and battle-worn, now quietly bore the imprint of its captain's last voyage, the final dance between man and ocean that had ended abruptly. The boat, in many ways, stood as a silent witness to the fragile line between survival and surrender. Reports from the scene described a somber crew grappling with loss while maintaining vigilance and readiness. Their swift response in managing the boat's course after Harris's collapse preserved safety, but could not erase the void left behind. The tension between the life-supporting machinery aboard and the absence of its leader created a poignant portrait of loss in a profession defined by endurance. As the Cornelia Marie made its way back to port under its crew's command, investigators and crew alike absorbed the gravity of what had occurred. The boat, tightly packed yet spacious in its utility, was now more than a vessel. It was a repository of memories, decisions, and the final moments of a revered captain. The scene set the stage for a deeper understanding of what happened in those last hours. This quiet aftermath aboard the Cornelia Marie invites reflection on what unseen factors may have contributed to the tragedy, leading us to consider Harris's health and condition during those critical moments. Phil Harris's health and final hours. Phil Harris was no stranger to hardship. His life at sea had tested his resilience for decades, but his battle with long-standing health issues became a defining aspect of his final days. Diagnosed with heart problems years earlier, Harris fought to remain active and lead his crew despite these significant challenges. His dedication to the Cornelia Marie and its mission was unwavering, but his body was sending unmistakable signals that time was catching up. Heart disease had shadowed Harris for years, including at least one previous major heart attack. Yet, he remained on deck, often pushing himself beyond what most would consider safe. This steadfast commitment reflected not only his sense of duty, but a profound personal identity tied to fishing and leadership. It was clear that surrender was never in his nature, even in the face of growing physical limitations. On the day of his passing, Harris reportedly felt unwell during the fishing run, but continued working with the grit that had defined his career. His crewmates noticed signs of distress, but communication and immediate assistance were challenged by the demanding environment and the pressure to keep the boat operational. These moments illustrate the fine line between perseverance and peril in commercial fishing. The sequence of events suggests Harris suffered a fatal heart attack while aboard, a medical emergency that overwhelmed his body swiftly. Despite the crew's quick actions to assist and call for emergency help, the severity of his condition left little chance for recovery in the remote and unforgiving setting of the Alaskan waters. His passing underscores how health risks compound the already extreme dangers of the job. Records and eyewitness accounts show that Harris stayed conscious and communicative for part of those final hours, giving advice and some encouragement to his crew. Kinda a loud reminder of his leadership even when everything turned. His drive to keep control and keep everyone calm is pretty much on brand for him, but it also points to the huge personal cost these roles ask for. Emergency responders had trouble getting to the Cornelia Marie in nasty, constantly shifting weather, and those conditions made things worse, not better. The deep-sea fishing setup is so isolating that fast medical help is rarely even an option, which leaves crewmates and captains under heavy pressure to handle health crises by themselves right then. With Harris, the fight seemed to be against both outside dangers and his own body's hard limits. His health had become a weak spot in a job that expects peak physical performance, no exceptions. Still, his wish to remain at the helm reads like more than stubbornness. It's tied to identity, pride, and that awkward acceptance that doesn't always come easy in a vocation. Not everyone really understands it from the inside. The takeaways from Harris's health story underline the risks fishermen live with every day, especially when chronic conditions have to be managed in harsh settings. The sacrifices happening behind the scenes often get ignored while adrenaline is running high, and everyone is focused on the catch that looks like triumph. As we consider Harris's health in his final hours, it becomes essential to examine the tools and technology aboard his boat, how they supported or fell short in safeguarding the vessel and crew during this ordeal. The vessel's equipment and condition. The Cornelia Marie, a 155-foot crab fishing vessel, was known for being a reliable machine designed to withstand the brutal Alaskan seas, a testament to the craftsmanship and maintenance typical of commercial fishing vessels. After Harris's passing, an inspection of the boat revealed a vessel in good working order, with no obvious mechanical failures that might have contributed to the tragedy. The ship was seaworthy, well-stocked, and equipped with the standard safety and navigation technology expected for such voyages. The engines were running, propulsion systems intact, and crucial navigation instruments fully functional. This operational status highlighted the professionalism of the crew, who maintained the boat's readiness even under emotional strain. The Cornelia Marie's radar, GPS, and communication devices provided the necessary tools to navigate safely back to port once the emergency occurred. Safety equipment, including life rafts, immersion suits, and emergency beacons, were found in place and ready for use. This preparation underscores how the crew respected the perils of the sea and the unpredictable nature of their work. Yet, even the best equipment could not prevent the sudden medical emergency that led to Harris's death. Analysis of the vessel's condition also reflected the hard work and years of use, with wear visible on the deck and gear, but nothing indicating neglect. Lines, traps, and cranes were all properly maintained, an indication that the operation remained professional in day-to-day tasks. Harris's attention to his vessel's upkeep was well documented, as was his pride in keeping the Cornelia Marie seaworthy. Some reports noted minor issues common to working boats: salt corrosion, frayed ropes, and wear on machinery, reminders that even the best vessels endure the harsh Alaskan environment. Yet, none was severe enough to directly compromise safety or operations during the trip. The crew's ability to operate effectively amid these conditions speaks to their experience. Fuel levels and provisions were adequate, ensuring that the boat could comfortably return to port without the urgency that accompanies dwindling resources. This factor meant that external pressures such as limited supplies did not exacerbate the crew's stress during the emergency. In essence, the vessel's state did not add to the tragedy, but rather provided a stable platform during the crisis. Assessments of the boat's communication logs suggest that calls for assistance were made promptly, and the Cornelia Marie maintained contact with rescue services while en route to the nearest harbor. The technology aboard functioned as intended, bridging the gap between isolation and external help. This aspect of modern fishing underscores how technology both assists and highlights the vulnerabilities of life at sea. Though the vessel was sound, it was clear that no amount of mechanical readiness could replace the human element lost with Harris. The Cornelia Marie bore the marks of a tragedy, where machinery and crew strove to maintain order in a moment where nature and fate held ultimate sway. The story of the equipment aboard the Cornelia Marie establishes a foundation to appreciate the resilience of the crew, whose reactions and testimonies bring life to the stark details found on board. Crew reactions and statements. The crew aboard the Cornelia Marie faced an unimaginable ordeal the day Phil Harris passed away, and their responses reveal a tapestry of emotion, professionalism, and deep respect for their leader. Several members described a mix of shock and determination, acknowledging the heavy burden of steering the vessel forward amid grief while coping with the immediacy of the crisis. They were caught between mourning a friend and maintaining the discipline necessary to keep the boat and themselves safe. Many crew members spoke about Harris's leadership style, noting his strength and humor even as his health declined. They recalled moments when he pushed himself, downplaying symptoms lest it disrupt the mission. This resolve was both inspiring and heartbreaking, illustrating the complex dynamics on vessels where personal endurance often blurs with responsibility toward others. When Harris fell ill, that grit manifested in a collective effort to provide aid while continuing to operate the ship. Accounts from the crew indicate that they quickly realized the severity of Harris's condition, but grappled with limited medical resources on board. Their immediate actions were decisive, yet cautious, focusing on stabilizing their captain while also preparing for potential rescue. This dichotomy of emergency care amid a harsh environment highlights the mental and physical endurance required in commercial fishing, where help can be hours or days away. Several testimonies pointed to a profound sense of loss that went beyond professional respect. Harris was described as a father figure and mentor, and his passing struck deeply at the heart of the tightly knit crew. The camaraderie forged over long, grueling seasons created bonds that intensified the emotional weight of the event, but also strengthened their resolve to honor his wishes and legacy through their work. Communication really mattered in keeping morale afloat, too. Crewmates said they kinda leaned on each other, sharing duties and giving that quiet, almost unspoken support. This kind of mutual reliance seems to be what defines life at sea, where you have to keep vulnerability somewhere near hand, but still stay ready, you know. Their accounts show the human part of steering through catastrophe, where grief is tangled with the everyday need to keep going and survive. A theme that kept showing up in crew remarks was pride in how Harris handled his last hours. Some remembered his determination to stay involved and his calm, even when things turned into a personal crisis. That resilience became for them kind of a spark, an inspiration, reinforcing his place not only as a captain, but as a sign of steady devotion to the hazardous calling they all, in some way, shared. They also talked about the logistical hurdles during emergency response at sea. It wasn't just one thing. They described trying to coordinate with rescue teams while also dealing with the pressure of balancing emotional upheaval with operational needs. Their lived frontline perspective makes it clear how complicated maritime emergencies are. It's not only wrestling with the elements, but also managing human fragility, the way it shows up at the worst moment. So these personal accounts from Cornelia Marie's crew offer a glimpse into that mix of professionalism with real, heavy loss that shows up during moments like these. Their words preserve Harris's legacy in a manner official reports can't. Because papers and radar back there, they can log what happened, but they can't quite hold the stark realities behind the scenes. The grit and emotions of Harris's crew paint a vivid backdrop for understanding the unforgiving world of Alaskan fishing, the risks they accept daily, and the environment that shaped both their triumphs and tragedies. Risks and realities of Alaskan fishing. Commercial fishing in the Alaskan waters is widely regarded as one of the most perilous occupations on the planet, a reality that Phil Harris and his crew knew intimately. The seas are notoriously unforgiving, with icy temperatures, rough waves, and sudden storms forming constant threats. Vessels must battle not only the elements, but also the exhaustion and relentless physical demands imposed on the fishermen. The danger of hypothermia is ever present in the frigid waters, where one misstep can turn fatal within minutes. Beyond the cold, the risk extends to equipment hazards, including heavy machinery, entanglement in lines, and the constant threat of falling overboard. Despite advances in safety gear and technology, the rough environment means that even small mistakes can escalate quickly. Each fishing season involves long hours with little rest, testing the endurance of even the most seasoned crew members. Sleep deprivation, combined with the physical strain of hauling heavy loads and managing shifting decks, contributes to accidents and health crises. Maintaining focus is a constant battle, especially when compounded by the mental stress of isolation and high stakes. The remoteness of many fishing grounds adds a layer of complexity to emergencies. Medical care may be hours away, sometimes inaccessible due to weather or distance. This reality means captains and crews must be prepared for self-reliance, managing injuries and illnesses with limited resources and under pressure. Harris's own health struggles were exacerbated by this isolation, emphasizing how precarious life at sea can be. Regulatory bodies have imposed strict safety protocols, and vessels like the Cornelia Marie adhere to guidelines designed to reduce risks, from mandatory safety drills to communication requirements. However, these measures can only mitigate, not eliminate, the inherent hazards. The unpredictability of the Alaskan environment means fishermen constantly face a gamble every time they go out. Weather is an additional uncontrollable force shaping the risks fishermen endure. Sudden fog, rain, or gusts can transform the seas from manageable to life-threatening in minutes. The crew must interpret weather reports, navigate shifting currents, and adjust their operations, all while managing the physical toll on their bodies and minds. Financial pressures also play a role as fishermen push themselves and their vessels to meet quotas and make the most of limited fishing windows. This economic reality drives long hours and risk-taking, compounding the occupational dangers. Harris's career was no exception, marked by a blend of passion and necessity that defines many who live by the sea. The harsh conditions of Alaskan fishing create a unique culture of resilience and camaraderie. Those who succeed must possess a blend of skill, toughness, and humility before nature, a landscape that commands respect through its dangers and rewards alike. Understanding these risks casts the events aboard the Cornelia Marie in a deeper light, reminding us that Phil Harris's story is part of a bigger tale, one of human courage amidst relentless natural forces, where every voyage carries both promise and peril. Legacy of Phil Harris on the boat. Phil Harris's legacy is deeply intertwined with the Cornelia Marie, the vessel that was not just his workplace, but an extension of his identity. For over 4 decades, Harris steered this vessel and its crew through the brutal Alaskan waters, embodying a spirit of resilience and determination that became legendary. His influence shaped the culture aboard the Cornelia Marie, creating a family-like atmosphere united by shared hardship and the relentless pursuit of success in a dangerous profession. The boat itself reflected Harris's philosophy: built tough, maintained meticulously, and operated with a level of professionalism that set standards for the industry. He was known for his hands-on leadership, personally ensuring the vessel stayed in top condition and the crew remained disciplined yet motivated. His commitment to safety balanced with an old-school toughness, blending caution with courage in equal measure. Crew members often spoke of Harris as a mentor who demanded the best, but also showed deep care for their well-being. His willingness to teach, listen, and share experience forged bonds that endured through storms and setbacks alike. These relationships underscored his belief that success at sea was less about the catch alone and more about the people who made it happen. Harris's public persona, crafted through television and media, celebrated the rugged fisherman archetype. But those who knew him aboard the Cornelia Marie witnessed a more complex figure, one who balanced pride with vulnerability and authority with warmth. The vessel carried not only his livelihood, but his legacy of perseverance and leadership, echoed in every corner of the boat. Beyond its physical form, the Cornelia Marie symbolized Harris's life's work, a platform where danger and dedication collided daily. His deep understanding of the vessel's capabilities and limitations allowed him to push boundaries while respecting the sea's power. This intimate knowledge was imparted to his crew, embedding a culture of respect and readiness. The boat's constant showing up on series like Deadliest Catch made Harris's story and the real day-to-day of commercial fishing reach more people, which in turn sort of cemented his footprint in popular culture. His genuineness hit home with fans and fishermen too, like it bridged that rough world of crab fishing with bigger ideas, of bravery and staying power. Harris's way of leading also leaned into building resilience in the people who worked next to him, helping his crew get ready for trouble without flinching. His legacy shows up in the way many of them kept working in the field, and in that close little community which still treats his memory like something important. The Cornelia Marie was not only a tool for trade, but also in a sense, a life classroom under his guidance. Even after he was gone, the lingering impact can be seen in the pride and respect people still showed toward the Cornelia Marie, like a clear, physical reminder of a man who gave his all to the sea and to the folks who sailed with him. The vessel is basically a lasting memorial to a legacy shaped by grit and compassion. You can almost see the marks of Harris's influence in every corner. And when you really understand how Harris was tied to Cornelia Marie, you end up looking at what happened after his passing too. Those investigations and reports that tried to pull together the entire truth behind the tragedy that took him. Even as the Cornelia Marie continued its voyages, the shadow of Harris's death prompted thorough inquiries into the circumstances, shining a light on the fine line between human vulnerability and maritime peril. Aftermath, investigations, and reports. Following Phil Harris's untimely death, official investigations were launched to piece together what happened aboard the Cornelia Marie during those final hours. Maritime safety authorities, alongside medical examiners, sought to understand not only the medical cause of death, but also whether any factors related to the vessel's operation or crew conduct contributed. The investigations aimed for clarity while honoring the complexity of life and death in one of the world's most dangerous professions. Medical reports confirmed that Harris succumbed to a massive coronary event, consistent with his known heart disease. There was no evidence of foul play or negligence, and the immediate efforts by the crew to provide aid were commended as professional and swift under the circumstances. The isolated nature of the fishing grounds played a critical role in limiting his chances of survival, underscoring the tragedy's inevitability despite best efforts. Safety inspectors evaluated the Cornelia Marie's condition thoroughly, reviewing everything from mechanical systems to safety protocols. Their findings aligned with earlier reports that the vessel was well maintained and fully equipped to face Alaskan conditions. Crew adherence to safety measures was noted, highlighting a culture of preparedness that was standard under Harris's leadership. The investigation also examined communication records between the Cornelia Marie and Coast Guard rescue teams. These logs detailed timely distress calls and coordination for medical evacuation. However, environmental challenges such as weather and distance hindered rapid response. The reports painted a picture of diligent crisis management constrained by external factors beyond crew control. Attention was given to the potential impact of Harris's health on operational decisions. Though some suggested that continuing the journey with a captain experiencing health issues presented risks, the investigation concluded that his experience and judgment had long been a stabilizing factor on board. His decision to remain at the helm reflected his deep commitment despite personal vulnerabilities. Legal inquiries into liability found no grounds to hold any party responsible beyond the natural progression of Harris's medical condition. This helped provide closure to families involved and preserve the reputation of the crew and company. The findings emphasized the unpredictable and unforgiving nature of commercial fishing work. The post-accident reviews extended beyond official reports, prompting renewed discussions within the fishing community about health monitoring and emergency preparedness. Harris's passing highlighted the need for improved medical assessment protocols, a conversation that continues to influence industry standards today. Ultimately, the investigations reinforced the understanding that even with rigorous safety measures and skilled crews, tragedies like this are sometimes unavoidable. The Cornelia Marie remained a symbol not just of loss, but of the resilience and ongoing risks faced by fishermen worldwide, reminding us of their courage and sacrifice every day. Reflecting on these findings allows us to grasp the broader meaning behind Harris's story and the enduring lessons it offers for life at sea and beyond. What the boat's story teaches us. The story of the Cornelia Marie after Phil Harris's death extends beyond one man's final voyage. It serves as a powerful reminder of the fragile balance between human endeavor and nature's indifference. The revelations aboard the vessel highlight the enduring risks of commercial fishing, where courage and vulnerability coexist in every moment at sea. Harris's experience offers lessons that resonate with fishermen, families, and viewers alike. One key takeaway is the importance of preparedness, not just in terms of equipment and protocol, but in facing the unpredictability of life itself. The Cornelia Marie's condition and the crew's responses show that even the most skilled teams with reliable vessels can be tested by circumstances beyond control. This underscores the need for continuous vigilance and respect for both personal health and the environment's demands. Harris's health struggles remind us that physical resilience has limits, especially in harsh professions. His choice to remain active, despite known risks, speaks to an admirable but complex human determination. It raises important questions about how communities and industries support their members who face chronic conditions, especially when isolation makes immediate help unreachable. The findings aboard the boat also emphasize the crucial role of teamwork and shared responsibility. Harris's crew did their best to honor his legacy while navigating tragedy, demonstrating how human connection often becomes the strongest safety net in moments of crisis. Their camaraderie and professionalism matter as much as technology and tactics when survival hangs in the balance. Modern safety standards and technology provide essential support, as seen in the Cornelia Marie's functional systems and communication tools. Yet, the ultimate lesson is that tools alone cannot replace human judgment and solidarity. The emotional and psychological challenges endured by crews are as significant as the physical demands, reminding us that fishing is not only a battle with nature, but also with fear and grief. The media spotlight on Harris's journey kind of brought wider awareness to how demanding fishermen's lives can be, giving voice to a story that was often kept hidden under headlines or reality TV dramatizations. His vessel became a platform for education, sparking talks about health, safety, and the real day-to-day behind that rugged image of commercial fishing. This cultural impact is part of what makes the story so enduring too. In the end, what was found on the Cornelia Marie after Harris's death opened a window into a world where triumph and tragedy sit side by side. The vessel's story encourages deeper empathy for people who risk so much just to provide for others, and it reminds us there's always a human cost behind the catch. It also challenges us to value lives at sea beyond their public personas, not just the version we see on screen. The lessons gleaned from the Cornelia Marie aren't only for the fishing industry, they speak broadly to facing uncertainty with courage and humility. They inspire ongoing efforts to improve safety, health awareness, and support systems for workers in high-risk environments worldwide. Harris's legacy lives on in these meaningful changes, even if time moves on. Most importantly, Cornelia Marie's tale teaches us that behind every vessel, every crew, and every catch, there lies a story of resilience, sacrifice, and respect for nature's raw power. Remembering Phil Harris means honoring that story and carrying forward its lessons with care, and gratitude too, ensuring future generations understand the risks and respect the people behind every journey at sea. Phil Harris's story, and what was found aboard the Cornelia Marie after his death, casts a profound light on the realities of life at sea. His legacy challenges us to appreciate the bravery behind every catch and the delicate balance that fishermen maintain with nature. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful journeys into remarkable lives and untold stories.